G'day and welcome to the next episode of Tech Adept Crafts. My name is Anthony and today we are looking at the Frost Manor House. And this building has been so much fun to paint. Oh my goodness me, it is a beautiful model. All of the detail work inside, it is just gorgeous, and you will see all of that detail in just a moment. I have tried to paint this from the point of view of somebody without all manner of specialized tools or anything like that. This has been done from a basic principle to try and get as good a product as possible. So it's all basic craft paints, with one exception: 2-litre Tormans tubs. Now you don't need to go around and buy a 2-litre Tormans tub. That's fine. I have bought three different shades of brown, and I use these in so many different builds that you will have seen them in most of the painting that I've done. I use them for stone, I use them for wood. That is probably one of the best purchases for paint that I have made in a while. They are really hardy. They take to the plastic really well, and they have great coverage. They will last me for quite some time, and so I'm very happy that I bought that. And you can do that from any sort of good paint store. You can buy tubs of pre-made paints to the exact colors that you want, and it really does last you quite a long time. All right, so this manor house comes from Iain Lovecraft's The Frost Campaign, and I would thoroughly recommend, if you are not actually watching this through the Frost Campaign, that you jump on and have a look at that campaign, because it is insane quality already, and the amount of value that you get for backing it is just unbelievable. Absolute kudos to Iain. Everything there is always superb, and this is no exception. Check out the tutorial on how to paint this manor house, and if you like it, don't forget to hit like, hit subscribe, and leave a comment down the bottom as to what other projects you think I should tackle. If you hadn't worked out Tech Adept Crafts, tackle. Yes, I love puns. I'll see you at the end of the episode, and I hope that you enjoy it. Cheers.
After an undercoat of white, I paint up almost the entire model with this blend of white and black craft paint, just a grey that I have mixed up and put into a spare water container. Lenny Decorator Acrylics Marine Blue. This is going on all of the roof tiles. That includes the ones on the little dormers that are sticking out the side. Now, I made a mistake here. I thought, well, this is just my first layer of this color and I'm going to paint over, so I went over the edges to cover any gaps that might happen there. This color was so hard to then later paint over the top of. It just kept showing through. Don't destroy your good brushes on painting terrain. Have a swag of just cheap brushes. It's a great option. Now onto Timber Beam, another one of those Tormans paints, and we start to pick out individual stones and just get a blend from not just having the grey, but having a collection of different browns here. You'll see I go on and I do the other two browns. All these paints are listed in the description for the video so that you can see exactly what paints I've used. Second round, Seasoned Acorn. Same process, more stones. Third brown, Star Anise. Now using that timber beam, I am stippling the paint onto all of the wall sections that use that stucco. It is a really simple technique. You are dabbing that paint on to get a random effect. You don't want this nice evenly painted, you want this looking patchy, because that stucco, as it gets rendered onto the walls, is going to have a rough, uneven feel. And as you stipple this on, you're going to achieve most of that effect. Next we go and add some white to that timber beam, and we do the process again. You will see patches showing through. This is actually taken from Impressionism, which uses dots to go through, but you start with colours all over the place, and they show through each successive layer. The idea is not to completely cover, but to show layering, to show light showing through those different layers. Using the recipe from Jeremy over at Black Magic Craft, I add brown wash to all the stone, all the stucco, and eventually over the roof as well. This just helps to blend the colours together, make it look a little bit dirtier, and give it some shading. It's going to feel a bit like Groundhog Day, but we're working those colours back now. This is a lighter grey than the previous one, and I am dry brushing. You can see there I rubbed the paint on my hand. If I can see my fingerprint, I have too much paint on the brush. Now you essentially rub the paint onto the model without really pushing it into the gaps. You're hitting the raised areas only. You can see here I'm getting extra grey onto those stairs. This is going to be the most worn area of that model. Now going through with a lighter grey again and going over the columns on the corners, the door frame, the window sills, and the lintels over the window, and that just gives a little bit of difference. Or also the base stones, just sets them apart slightly. To start the roof highlighting, I am doing a dry brush of cobalt blue over that original marine blue. This doesn't have a huge effect, and that's fine. It was more so just to draw out the details. I do go in later with a lighter blue. As you can see here, I added a white to that cobalt blue and dry brush again, and that turns it a little bit more stark. Now back to the walls, we are stippling again with that timber beam. Next layer will be a blend of the timber beam and white, and again stippling over. All the while you are still trying to leave patches of the previous colours as you go through. All of the timber beams now, I'm using Lenny's Burnt Umber, and this just goes on any of those beams on the roof, on the first and second floors. It'll also be used for the door, the lintel on top of the roof, any of those beams that are there as supporting wood or wood that is used in the framework of the house, not the floorboards. I do that later with that seasoned acorn. seasoned acorn out, I'm dry brushing some of the burnt umber pieces, like the door, like all of those, all the supporting beams. This brown is actually a really good brown to then dry brush over the top of the darker browns. Then with the timber beam, we are dry brushing over the top of the floorboards. So all of those boards have been painted with one brown and then dry brushed with the other. I used the burnt umber just to show some variation. This step here, I am trying something different. All of the metal components I am painting with my light grey mix, and then I'm doing a black wash, and following that I'm doing a dry brush with a silver paint from Lenny's. This is a simple craft paint, but this is not using a high quality metallic paint. Never tried this before, and I'm actually quite happy with how it came out. There's the black wash from Black Magic Craft. Dry brush of metallic silver from Lenny's Decorator Acrylics. This wonderful leaf green colour, I am using it for moss in all sorts of nooks and crannies over the model, on the roof, in the joints, between beams, anywhere I can find a little spot that might be, yeah, I could find some moss there. So this is watered down leaf green from Lenny's, and it just goes in there to act like moss. Just be careful not to overdo this step. A little bit goes a long way. Plus, it also is there to represent that idea of not using the high quality materials such as flock. Now an actual highlight of sky blue on the edges of the roof tiles. Highlighting is you want to water it down a little bit and put just a little bit on the corners or on the edges of what you're painting. Again here, do not overdo it.
Well, there you have the painting tutorial for the Frost Manor house. Don't forget, these can actually come apart and be placed in different configurations. They can also be placed on the Frostheim Bridge, which is such a cool idea. I can't wait to see an entire town on a bridge. That will be amazing. Anyway, the Frost Manor house. Stay tuned for lots of very exciting projects coming up. I'm not going to spill the beans on them yet, but I am very, very keen for where the channel is heading in the future. And we will see you in the upcoming episodes. Don't forget to hit like, hit subscribe, and leave a comment down the bottom as to what the Tech Adept Crafts can tackle later. Cheers.